Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today is a little different. Today we are going to record my first podcast, guys. Yes, I said that. My first podcast. And I'm going to be a special host on...
Special guest
on...
The Scrolls Podcast is my podcast on Anchor and Spotify and Google.
So what podcast is this?
It is the Scrolls Podcast. It's my podcast on Anchor and Google and Spotify and Apple and Stitcher and actually.
So what is it called?
Scrolls Podcast.
Scrolls Podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, I want to make sure I will link it down below. Also, we are on the floor because this is how we do our podcast. Well, this is how I'm going to do my podcast. Simple and easy. So we're going to take you guys in, and he is going to lead the way.
I have the specialist of special guests today, and I will let her introduce herself, and then we will get right into it. Your name, please, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. I am Michelle, the wife of Raymond.
Okay, and today the title of the Scrolls Podcast episode is Marriage Worth It? Now I'm going to do this kind of differently because I want to get her input on it, but for some of them I may jump in, I may not, to give my take on it. We think a lot alike on a lot of things, so if she handles it perfectly, I'll let it be. So for the first thing I wanted to ask you was name one major pro and con of marriage. Just one.
Just one word?
One good and one bad. Not necessarily bad,
okay,
but one pro and one con.
That just comes to me. Pro would be team, and con.
Explain what you mean. You said team.
Like team, like we do everything as a team. Like it's just not me doing it by myself, especially having a child.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of being like a team, us being a team. Con would probably be selfish.
Selfish with what?
With everything. Selfish in time, selfish with yourself, selfish in food. I gotta share everything, pretty much. I think that would be my con.
Okay. Now, that's one where, well, I guess I'll say mine because it's almost the same thing. But my pro would be the support that you get, with everything, just day-to-day things. Mm-hmm. That's not something you can get anywhere else, whether it be family or friends. There's just something that a wife or a husband can do for you that nobody on the planet can do.
True. And
the one con would be sharing space. Because I don't care how much you love people or how close you guys are, anytime you're on top of each other, you're gonna not, I was gonna say feel suffocated.
I mean, kinda. Be real, honey.
It's human nature. You're gonna, but luckily for us, it doesn't bother us because we're together all the time. So it's not necessarily a con, but if I had to choose one, that would be it. Okay. So that took me to, what is the most difficult part of marriage to you?
The most difficult?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, apologizing.
Apologizing, that's a good one because a lot of women will understand that.
Yeah, apologizing. That's it.
Okay. Now, for me, the most difficult one, I'd say, and none of this is scripted. It's literally all real time. Yeah, I'm asking her. I didn't give her any of these questions beforehand, and she's getting it right now how you're hearing it. So, and I wrote them this morning, so I didn't memorize any answers either. So the most difficult part for me would be not necessarily following other rules, but being more considerate with things I do, whether it be like before is where I would just come and go and I just be out all day because I was single. Adjusting your time and adjusting your schedule is one thing that a married man has to really get a hang on, because that can snowball into a bunch of other issues and it can turn into a bunch of fights if you don't respect your partner's time. So it was the most difficult thing before. Now, I mean, obviously it's not. Do you feel like we moved too soon getting married?
No.
Why not?
I honestly think you took forever.
How long did I take so they know?
3 years. About three years when you... Two?
We got together in 2015.
No.
And we got engaged.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. My apologies.
So I didn't take too long, is what you're saying.
I mean, okay. In my eyes, I would have wanted you to marry me a year.
Why a year?
Because you've already been on trips with me. They say usually when you go on trips with each other, that's when you can really know each other. And then you went through all the seasons with me.
I didn't write that down, but that's actually something I should have wrote down. You don't really know. You don't really know who you're with until you've been through some stuff with them. And if everything is just on the up and up, you don't know, you don't understand how this person will react in certain situations. If they'll just walk out on you over a little misunderstanding, if they're just mature in their mindset. So that is an important thing. And I think more of that should happen. Like, you don't, just like with your friends, you don't know who your real friends are until y'all go through something serious. So yeah, I wish I would. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I did not write that down. Okay, now.
Never ago. I mean, having the opposite sex as friends you're already looking at a problem later down the line.
Explain why. Because some people say, well, that's insecure.
No, it's not insecure, because I'm a very secure woman, but for an example, if I had guy friends, and this have happened, you get in a relationship with your partner, and then for some reason your guy friends get jealous and they start acting crazy, start calling 4 o'clock in the morning, which quote unquote they're just supposed to be friends. And how does that look on your spouse? When a guy calling you at 4 o'clock in the morning, oh, I'm just calling to see what you've been up to. No, you're not. And before any of that starts going down, we just nipped it in the butt in the beginning. We said we don't need friends on the opposite sex unless it's like an example. If I bring a girl in and you start being friends with her husband, and then we're all friends. It's just nothing outside of that. Like, you don't need to meet people at work as friends and hang out by yourself. I mean, that is just...
To me, it was more about, and I don't know, a lot of guys might not understand it or they won't agree with it, but for me, it was more random female as a friend. I know how females operate, and I know how females think. A lot of men don't know how females think. Now, if I have a female friend that sees how I treat my wife every day and how I talk about her and how I look at her and just how I treat her overall, then, and she doesn't have that in her mind, she starts to wonder, this is a good guy. She wonders, can she take this guy, and they start picking up on signs, and they start creating signs that might not even be true, because I know how to carry myself dealing with anybody, no matter who I'm around. But the temptation of a man being in front of a woman that she might never have a man like that in her life. So if I'm the closest thing that she'll get to that, then that's what she's gonna eventually, whether she notices or not, she's gonna start, getting closer and closer and asking more questions and making it uncomfortable at the end of the day.
Bear with us, guys. We moved areas because the dogs were being loud, so we came down here, and it's better lighting for you guys. So Hope you guys are enjoying it, but let's get back to this podcast. Yeah. And I just don't, I mean, honestly, it might sound, what is it, cliche? Is that the word that I'm looking for? Like, I just don't need other guys as friends. I don't need, like a lot, and I'm not saying this is with all women, but some women need other male friends to maybe boost them up or boost, I mean, something with something that their boyfriend or husband's not giving them. And with me, I really don't need that.
I think that's actually the most important part of it. Neither one of us needs that outside attention.
No.
And that's what comes with a married couple acting like a married couple. Like, you rarely see me out somewhere, even if it's the grocery store. You rarely see me out without my wife. Unless I'm at work, unless she's at work, and it's something that physically prevents us from not being together, that's one thing we don't do. And it's not like I feel like I have to drag my wife anywhere, or I'm going to get in trouble if my wife isn't there. This is who I actually enjoy having around. And it's literally that simple. So there's nothing I can't talk to my wife about. There's nothing I can't, voice my frustration about. When whoever you're with, when you can talk to them about anything, there's literally no need for any outside friends. And that's one thing a lot of people just won't admit to, is that they're not getting everything that they want at home or need at home. So they look for outside, energy. And that's not to judge anybody. If you and your partner are okay into that kind of thing, then whatever.
But not even just into it, just if you're okay with the opposite sex.
That's just that doesn't work for us. No. Because I know how men, obviously we know how men think,
and I know how women think.
So there will be no, okay, well, one day you call this male friend and you're frustrated at me over something stupid, and then he jumps on top of it and he sees that as an opportunity to get in your head and say this and that and the third and flirt with you. And any kind of flirtatious activity is enough for some guys to stick around, and they'll wait a year or two. They'll wait a while for that one night to where you're just so flustered and you want to go have a drink, and then that turns into, this and that and the third. It's not worth it on either end. If either one of us felt like we needed to go out and seek a friend, I hate to make it sound extreme, but at that point, the marriage is pretty much over. Because
for us.
Yeah, speaking just for us. For either one of us, if it got to that point, we'd have to call it quits, because now you've reached a point of where you don't even want to be around this person that you're supposed to be in love with, and you can't even talk to them. Right. So, but that's a whole different ball game. And luckily for us, these are all things that we got squared away early, which takes me to my next question, which was, why do you think so many marriages end? Why is it? Because the divorce rate is actually higher now than it was before with everything going on. So why do you think the divorce rate is so high?
Me? Mm-hmm. I think it's because of communication. I don't think a lot of marriages understand that communication is the rule of your whole relationship, and that's from beginning to end. So without communicating with each other, if it's how you feel or if you're going out with your girlfriends, if the communication is not there, a good relationship, somewhere you're going to fail.
What other reasons do so many marriages end?
Lies.
Communication. Lies falls under communication.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, because like everything is, no matter what it is, it's going to go right behind communication. You tell me something.
I say so many marriages end because people choose wrong. A lot of people, when people choose somebody to commit to like that, they're choosing off of what looks good on paper.
Yeah, that's true.
They're choosing off of just completely looks, and the person can be totally dry on the inside.
That's true, yes.
People choose. They don't choose. I'll put it like this. When I decided to propose to you, I said, okay, well, this is somebody that I'm my happiest with. This is also somebody that I can fight with. And it's not the end of the world. and it has to be a healthy balance there, not just of the good, but that the bad isn't terrible.
Yeah.
So, and with that, can trust in a marriage can broken trust in a marriage be rebuilt?
That's hard. Yes and no. I guess you could say it, Ken, but I guess it's just the extent of how bad it is. Like if you was to cheat on me right now, no. I can't take you back. I can't forgive you. I just gotta move on.
But you also have to mention that's how we both operate. It's not just you. No. We both feel the same way.
Yeah.
Especially now. You know, that we've almost been together for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once you get that deep into it, you both know.
Yeah.
You both know what you're going for, what you're not going for.
When we were dating, you know, we both made mistakes. And it's not cheating, but I'm saying, like, we both made stupid mistakes where we fixed them. But when you decide to get married, I think that's a completely different level. Like, of course you're going to make mistakes, but to go beyond.
Neither one of us is stupid.
Yeah.
And we know what is crossing the line.
Right,
we know
right.
what there is no. Everything isn't to be forgiven.
No.
And that's what, you have to set those boundaries. You have to set those standards. Otherwise, the other person will always be pushing the envelope, seeing what they can get away with.
Yeah.
And when you put your foot down with certain things like this, I'm not going for this or that. Now, if you step into those puddles, then there's no talking about it.
Yeah.
That is it.
Because the difference between us and a lot of other people, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of other people, is that when we first dated, we had guidelines, or we had like what is allowed, what is not allowed. Not that we were kids, but then when we got married, we both said to each if you cheat, if you do anything like without, within our boundaries, there's no coming back. And so for us to say, say you did cheat or I cheat, or if you did something that wasn't acceptable and I forgave you, what is that telling you for next time? That you keep screwing over.
Yeah. That's you only allow, you send a message for what you allow to happen.
Yeah.
And that's a hole that a lot of men and women dig themselves into, because the more you forgive and the more you let people take advantage of you, it's not them anymore. Now you're allowing it to happen. You're a part of it. So there's no complaining to do at that point. There's no crying at that point. There's no conversation. This is what y'all are doing.
Right.
You're letting, either y'all are just cheating on each other, or left and right, or you are allowing your husband or allowing your wife to go out here and do whatever. And then people get into as long as they don't bring anything home, or as long as they start to reason with it and they start to make excuses for it, which once again, just for us, these are all things that we've talked about between us, what we're not going to do and what we're not going to accept. So now, if you could go back to when we first got married, if anything, what would you have done different or done better?
Well, one, I would learn how to apologize, because I'm still learning that.
Explain the importance of apology for the women that might not understand.
So when we have a discussion and I know I'm in the wrong after our conversation, I just for some reason can't be like, okay, Ryan, I apologize. I feel like I'm just like I have too much pride or something. I don't know. When I know I need to apologize and I know I am in the wrong and I need to tell my husband, like, dude, it's my fault. But I don't know. I'm very, like, I don't know. I can't really describe it.
Honestly, that's one of those things that men as a whole have learned to kind of not just brush it off, but we learned that we have to get the apology. We have to pull the apology out of you.
Yeah, because it's like, dang, I was wrong. Like, my husband was right.
And just being personal, I don't have to sit here and go off on her about that. There are ways, it's indirect communication, which means I turn silent mode on. I'm not going to
Yeah,
be
you
around
do.
here punching holes in walls and stuff. I'm not going to be around here overreacting. I just choose how I am treating you at that time differently, and it never takes long.
I was gonna say it never. I can't remember an argument even lasting.
When we fight, it lasts for a day,
If
half
that,
a day.
because we fight over the dumbest things, the dumbest. And sometimes, like, we come back, like, do you remember when we were fighting over this? Like, what were we fighting for? And then you'd be like, are you hungry? Or, hey, do you want to go do something? And we totally forget what the whole argument was about.
Now, if I could go back to answer the question, one thing I would have done differently was, I would have put myself in your shoes more when it comes to emotions and conversations, because as men, we like to be in charge of how, arguments go and how conversation. We like to be in charge of everything. Yeah. And that's one thing I tell any man is you have to, in order to make it work and be successful at marriage, you have to put yourself in her mind, because what you think and how you think things may go may be completely opposite from what they're thinking. And until you put yourself in their shoes, you're always going to run into that brick wall.
All right, guys. Well, that concludes our podcast session. I was a little nervous, even though if it was it's my husband. I'm like, but just so you guys know, I did not know any of the questions he was gonna ask me. It was just as brand new as you guys seen it, as I heard freestyle. But I hope you guys take some advice of how, we have our relationship, and maybe not compare it to yours, but maybe just kind of add to it.
You can learn something from anybody, good and bad.
Yeah. And remember, guys, no relationship is perfect. So if you are reading us and you think, oh, they're just got this, we're not perfect, I promise you guys. And if you guys are struggling in your relationship, or you guys need help, call us.
Call her, don't call me.
Yeah, call me. We'll help you guys. But just remember, guys, everybody goes through situations in the relationship. Just because something that we don't agree, might you guys agree. So if it's worth fixing, fix it. Because a marriage is for making everything work. And just like I said, just because, it don't work for us, it might work for you. If it don't work for you, and it might, vice versa. But try. Don't give up. Try. Right, honey?
Absolutely.
If it's worth it. If you think
only if it's worth it.
If you really think you guys can make it work, make it work. Because there's not a lot of people out here for nobody. So, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. And make sure you subscribe and turn that post notification on, so every time I post a video, you guys be notified. Until our next video,